It's UFL week 4. We've already got some quarterback controversy. But lucky for us, I think our questions, our prayers are answered by the return of Storm in Normandy. We got Quentin Dormandy back. I don't even know how to say his name. All I can call him is D-Day. You guys ready to break this one down?
Scott, you got the shirt on, right? Orlando Guardians.
D-Day all day. Let's do it.
RIP Guardians. Let's do it. What is up, guys? Welcome to the Edge DFS. My name is Tyson Smith, joined by Ellie Hernandez and Scottradamus. Saturday, 420 is D-Day. I don't think there's really a whole lot more to discuss as far as we have a 6K quarterback who we thought in the preseason was in a really good spot. He ended up getting beat out by Garbers. And now he's starting. There's a little bit of risk behind it because we haven't really seen him this year. We haven't seen him in this offense. But in my opinion, this guy, I'm going to have him in majority of my lineups at 6K. Scott, what are we? Let's not bury the lead here. I mean, this is going to shape how we build lineups, and having a quarterback at 6K with reasonable ownership right now, also getting a damn good projection from trusted sources. So what are we doing here, Scott?
Yeah, definitely. The industry looks like they have been projected either the highest or the second highest quarterback. So when you look at that and you think about the fact that you're going to be saving upwards of $4,000 to $5,000 by playing Dormady, I think that it's kind of a no-brainer. But I think we discussed earlier, some people might be unfamiliar with him. So, let's hope a lot of people decide to fade him and play Adrian Martinez this week. No, I'm just
kidding. Yeah. Ellie, I mean, are you on the same page? I mean, we did before we got into the show. It's like, okay, do people, if you're a USFL fan and you didn't really watch Orlando Guardians football last year or something, do you really know about Quentin Dormady? And look, let's just be honest. He had, 3 or 4 pretty good games. Like, he came on later in the year. But if you don't know who Dormady is, like, are you going to be as excited to play him as we are? You're probably not, right, Ellie?
Yeah, I don't think so, man. But look, at the end of the day, sometimes you got to just not necessarily pay attention to the name or the player, right? Like you got a guy who's at 6K who's starting for a team. You're not going to get a min-price quarterback, really again. And just that right there just makes him kind of an elite, like just floor play. Like I would lock him in pretty much any cash game I was playing. But we also know what kind of upside he has. So, again, to echo Scott, hopefully he comes in a little bit of ownership suppressed. We can get some leverage by playing the shit out of him.
Yeah, I mean, they have Tom Flacco there, who was in camp. He's now the backup, and then they signed Hogan's Heroes. I don't even know if he'll be active. I'm not sure. But like, to me, this doesn't feel like a situation where Dormady struggles in the first drive or two and they automatically bench his ass. I think this is his game to play. Do you have any insight on that, Scott? Like, is this safe from the aspect of, typically we see these quarterbacks where they will get benched quick, in the XFL or USFL. Is this that situation?
Yeah, I mean, this is as safe as you can get, in my opinion. I don't see Flacco getting a single snap. I think Dormady earned it. I think he's got a rep to, he can sling it. AJ is going to want to sling it. So, in my opinion, and Hogan's is not even going to be active. So, unless Dormady goes down, this is a very safe play, in my opinion. Very safe.
Let's get into this breakdown, or not breakdown. Let's get into this first look. We're going to look at the Vegas lines. We're going to talk about these inactives. I will say I've been pretty impressed with the reporting that we've been seeing, and like even the official UFL Twitter page has come out and gave us the inactives for each team. I've been pretty impressed with that. But let's talk about this real quick here. So I got to get Ellie back in the show here. 1 second. St. Louis Battlehawks is the first game. There's three games on Saturday. There's a 12:30 game, and there's 2 games going on at the same time. on Saturday night, which is weird. I'm not a huge fan of that, but it is what it is. Showboats going into St. Louis, into the Dome. Scott, while I'm messing around with this, talk about this -7 spread here in favor of the Battlehawks at a 45 total. It looks like to me, look, Memphis, we've had high hopes for Memphis. Like, I feel like their offense can be pretty good. But can they give the quarterback more than a freaking second and a half to throw the damn ball? Like, do you see anything different here with the Battlehawks defensive line that's kind of banged up? Can this be a shootout, Scott?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think this is the shootout. I think it's kind of clear and obvious it's going to be. I mean, I even like the over in this. We haven't seen games go too high scoring this year so far, but to me, I know we've been talking about, Dormady, and I know we like him, but to me, honestly, AJ is the safest quarterback on the slate. And I think between the weapons between Memphis and St. Louis, look, Cookus, they took him out last week. It was a safety thing. He was, if anybody watched that game, it was the most brutal thing I'd ever seen in my life. I think we all felt bad for the guy. It was horrific. I think in this particular situation, Cookus will have more time. Cookus will get it to his guys. I mean, to me, this is the game to stack because you've got serious weapons on both sides. Serious weapons, So for me, I really like this game. I think St. Louis could win by more than 7. That's just me. So I'm not going to mess with the spread too much, but I think this is the shootout, and I think the weapons are great on both sides.
So, Ellie, we are seeing Ja'Cour Pearson coming back this week, which, we thought this team was already pretty powerful. Once Pearson gets going, they're going to be even more difficult to stop. We're talking about probably the best wide receiver in the XFL last year. And he's back. I thought he was going to be gone for 6, 7, 8 weeks, but week 4 looks like we're going to have him active. The big concern is he what's his role? We've already seen Blake Jackson kind of disappear. This is a 3-headed monster of Butler, Shepard, and Aitman. And Shepard is really the only guy that we can actually probably trust right now. So now that we're throwing in Ja'Cour Pearson into the mix, I don't know what the hell to do. I think Shepard is probably the guy that you could still trust, but flip a coin with Butler and Aitman because each week one of these guys is probably going to go off. And now you have one of the most dynamic, fast, small pass catchers, in motion or out of the backfield or wherever they put him. Now added into the mix. I don't know what to do here, Ellie. What do we do with Ja'Cour Pearson here? I think I'm going to wait and see, and I don't think I'm going to play him at all. And in fact, he's not even on the damn Draftkings slate right now, so this might be a completely moot point. But what are your thoughts? Like, how does this muddy the water for you?
Yeah, so let's just put it this way: DraftKings has everybody priced like Ja'Cour Pearson's still out. So that is the one thing that we really got to pay attention to here. Is depending on what we project from Pearson, it really kind of impacts what we want to do with these other wide receivers, right? The more run he gets, I think the less exposure I'm really looking at, just from stacking this offense. Like, I think maybe if you want to go AJ McCarron and maybe one of the pass catchers, that's probably the better way to attack this, or maybe stack up the other side of the ball and run it back with the Battlehawks. But this is probably one of the last weeks that we're going to have this uncertainty though with Ja'Cour Pearson. So depending on how he looks, like if he doesn't look good, maybe he's limited. Maybe they're only going to run him out there for a couple snaps and the offense is going to stay the same way, right? That could soften ownership just because of everything I just said on the Battlehawks offense. And as Scott was saying, this is an explosive team that's going to put up numbers. So I think that's one thing that we really got to consider this week is, do you think Pearson's going to get the run or not? Because if he doesn't, you can get probably some discounted ownership on some of these guys. But if he does, they're probably not priced right.
So, Scott, we saw basically every week, for this Battlehawks team, whichever running back was inactive the week before, just play that damn guy, apparently. Last week it was Wayne Gallman. He was inactive. It looks like he's going to be active now, but he's listed 3rd on the depth chart. I think it's pretty obvious that Mateo Durant is the guy here, along with, sprinkling a little Jacob Sailors. but this is kind of muddy, man. I don't know who we could really trust here. We did get kind of all screwed last week with 3 rushing touchdowns in that game that we all stacked like a mofo. So just brief thoughts on this trio of running backs here. I don't think I'm gonna get to a whole lot of any of these guys. Maybe just sprinkle in a little Durant. What about you?
Yeah, it's a complete stay away spot for me because even if St. Louis is winning by 2 touchdowns, AJ's going to throw it. That's just my opinion. I don't see them just running the ball out. I just don't.
Yeah.
AJ's not that kind of guy. So for me, stay away completely. Look, let's put Sailors in that category with Letty Brown. He's now earned it. He is a great number 2 at a discounted price. And Durant, we've seen what he can do so far. Gallman, I think he still has to prove it, but it's a stay away spot for me because I think they're going to throw it no matter what.
Briefly on Memphis here, we've got David Davis, we got Vinny Papali, Jonathan Adams. Those are studs. We got Sage Surratt. There's a lot of options here offensively for the Showboats, but this team cannot run the damn ball. We've got Darius Victor, who he was a former offensive player of the year, was in 22 or something like that. This guy is a stud, and he's just not getting involved at all. And you see it on the depth chart here. You got Titus Swen, sounds like a Fallout character or something. He's starting at running back. I don't know what to think of this. Is this going to be the week where no one plays Darius Victor and he goes off for 100 yards? Who knows? But I think it's a stay away spot most likely. Are you got any interest in Swen? Anybody?
I definitely think Swen is playable just because he looked pretty good last week. He ended up getting 55% of the snaps. I think he got 50% of the carries. He looked pretty good. I think he caught 4 balls. He had 5 targets and he caught 4 balls for 37 yards. So Swin is okay. I haven't seen the price on him. What's the price on Swin? But based on his price, Swin would be a good play. But again, I think these receivers are where you need to target on the Memphis side.
And thankfully for Memphis here, no Pita Sumana, the defensive player of the year last year, he's out. And then another defensive tackle for St. Louis is out as well. So that could give our boy Cookus a little bit of breathing room there. Defenders going into Birmingham, this is a 9-point spread, 46.5 point total. You are seeing these totals go up because of all the overs hitting last week, and we saw some more scoring. And I think we'll continue to see more scoring as these teams become more comfortable with each other and just work things out as the season goes along. But this is a 46.5 point total here. Look, Birmingham is clearly the best team. I think we all realize that. But they're fucking around with us with these quarterbacks. Martinez goes nuclear last week. And we talked about, I stayed away from both of them because we saw Martinez as a starter, listed as the starter. Now this week, we're seeing Matt Corral listed as the starter when you just had a dude throw for over 300 yards. And I believe he leads the league in rushing at this point, Adrian Martinez. So why are they doing this? I don't know. Is it going to continue to work? I have no idea, but this is DC Defenders. They managed to beat Arlington last week. I don't know how, but they managed to come back and win that game. I don't know that I think it's the same strategy as last week for me. Get Ricky Persons Jr., get CJ Marable, get Deion Kane, get some of these guys involved, but I think I'm staying away from the quarterbacks, especially considering we have a 6K Dormandy who I'm pretty sure he's going to play the whole game. Scott, what are we thinking about this game? Is this another Birmingham ass whooping?
Yeah, this is Skip Holt's flex. He's straight flexing right now, and he's just saying, hey, look, here's my opinion. And I've been listening to some coaches speak, but listening to some insiders. They think Matt Corral is going to get the whole game, just like Adrian got last game. This is a straight flex. Birmingham's the best team. It's pretty obvious. I mean, I'm going to throw St. Louis up there, of course, but this is a flex. They've no just blatant disrespect for the defenders. So for me, this is a situation where it's like, look, if you want to play some Matt Corral, you could, but I am not going to play Adrian Martinez on the hopes that Matt Corral maybe screws up the first drive and then they replace him. I think this is a flex. They're going to do this. They want to see how bad they can beat him, and it doesn't matter what quarterback they have in there. So I think DC might be a little bit come out a little bit stronger. I think DC definitely covers this spread. So I think it's gonna be a closer game than most people think, and I think Skip Holtz is fucking crazy.
We saw Tyler Vaughn's and Arlington throw the ball pretty good on the defenders last week. This team just feels blah. Like the defenders, they've lost a lot of players. Teamu has looked okay at times. This is not the defenders of last year, and I feel like their whole identity has changed to pass first, and they don't have the guys to really do it. They lost Lucky Jackson. They lost a lot of these guys that they had last year. And Abram Smith is not healthy. We're seeing Cameron Harris look better, but he's still struggling. He's not Abram Smith. And now we've got Zaquandre White as the only other active running back. You got Higgins, who is inactive. And Higgins, he completely bombed last week, and he had a touchdown the week before. He looked like he was maybe going to take that job over. Who knows, man? But as far as question marks with this DC team, it feels like you still can't trust the run game. Kiki Kute, Kelvin Harmon, maybe a little bit of Brandon Smith. Those guys probably will get involved. But this feels like probably not a game that probably not a team that I'm going to stack as far as the defenders going up against clearly one of the better defenses in the league. Ellie, anything jump out to you inactive wise? Looks like Marlon Williams is out. And on the DC side, like I said, Darius Higgins is inactive. Puka Williams is inactive again. So they're clearly giving this Saquandre White guy, which I don't know anything about, they're giving him an opportunity. Any interest in stacking the defenders?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna have much interest in them at all. I think you might want to take flyers at wide receiver guys that you have big play upside in large field GPPs, just because we get 9-point spread here. Birmingham is expected to whoop their ass, right? DC might throw it up, have some lucky touchdowns here and there that might tilt you in a GPP if you don't have some. But outside of that, man, like I think you take pieces from Stallions and just probably target some of these other games. I mean, again, Quentin Dormady is where I'm going to be going with a lot of offense.
All right, so this is the other game at 7 p.m. On the same night. Very strange. Panthers going into San Antonio. The Panthers are favored. I'm assuming this has, a lot to do with one of the most surprising teams in the league, a very potent, powerful offense, losing their starting quarterback. It's a 1-point spread here. This is the lowest total on the slate. Now, Scott, let me get your opinion on this. Is this because Michigan's defense is pretty decent, pretty good, maybe above average, and San Antonio doesn't have a starting quarterback now? Is this Vegas doesn't believe in Quentin Dormady situation? That's why this total is low, and that's why the Panthers are favored on the road?
Yeah, I think so. Again, I've always said this, Michigan does not have the best fantasy defense, but probably real life defense that they're up there right behind Birmingham. So to me, it's as simple as that. Dormady question mark. San Antonio didn't look fantastic last week. You can sometimes see AJ Smith losing his fucking mind on the sidelines. You know what I mean? The guy it's like he's playing Madden, like he's controlling them all. So to me, it's like, it's a situation where I just feel like they don't really know how to predict this game. And let's be honest, Brahmas defense is not horrible, okay? And Michigan's defense is good. So this could, if Dormady doesn't look good, or if he's rusty, or if he just doesn't have the offense under control, this could be a low-scoring defensive game. Let's be honest. This is not a game that I'm heavily targeting to stack, that's for sure. You know what I mean? I haven't played many Michigan players at all, because between Trey Quinn and Sims, Sims has been consistent, but it's been hard to get them right. So this could be a defensive battle. I do like both defenses, by the way, just for DFS.
Yeah, so we'll have to talk about this in the breakdown, but if you're not heavily stacking this game, is this, maybe a Dormady plus Latimer, and then go heavy St. Louis and Birmingham situation? We'll have to talk about that. Maybe you don't. Maybe with Dormady, with his price tag, if you get 16, 17 fantasy points out of him and find the right guy along with him, maybe you don't need to massively stack the hell out of this game with a run back. So obviously, like we said, Dormady starting. McFarland is inactive, which is surprising to me. I think that's an injury thing, but who knows at this point. John Lovett is starting. We know his ability in the red zone. Bryson Aline is listed as second on the depth chart. And then we got Morgan Ellison, who was for a short period last year with this Sea Dragons, probably one of the best running backs in the league as far as stat wise, going there for a few weeks. He had some injury. He's had some injury history, but he landed on San Antonio here. No interest in playing him this week, but a guy like John Lovett could be interesting to mix in along with the San Antonio defense. But we saw EJ Perry, we saw Sims last week. We saw him put up some numbers. We have yet to see Wes Hills really absolutely go nuclear, but Colburn had a pretty good game last week. So this game is interesting. There's a lot of moving pieces. We'll have to keep an eye on things, but I think I agree with you there, Scott. Like, not massively stacking, like no Dormady +3 with a run back. Like, I don't think I'm going that route. Maybe not even Dormady +2. All right, let's go to this last game here. Battle of the mids. The Renegades, 0-3, should have won last week. Luis Perez has looked good this year. Their defense has looked bad, but they haven't been an absolutely terrible team overall. They just haven't really been able to pull it out, and they've had a tough schedule. The Renegades have. Houston Roughnecks. This team, to me, I don't know, dude. This offense is terrible. They lost Guantanamo Bay. Reed Sinnett came in and looked better, but the Roughnecks, their defense, that was their strong point. They sucked ass last week. If you played their defense, their chalk defense last week, you saw a big -0 or -1 on your lineups. That was not fun. This game feels like a game that we could almost avoid completely. Minus maybe some Vaughns, minus maybe a random Luis Perez mini stack or something. Scott, it's a 3-point spread, 46.5 point total. This is one of the highest totals on the slate. Why is that? Is that because Arlington's defense sucks ass so bad? And are we going to get Mark Thompson back? Are we getting Mark Thompson back this week finally? We keep hearing it every week. I'm coming back. This could be the week he comes back, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, he's saying he's on the field, but I mean, we don't know. I mean, we haven't seen the official depth chart or inactive. Am I correct on that? Still to this moment as we're speaking.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah. So as the Island Sunday game, it is appealing to me for my non-Dormady lineup. So of course, everybody knows I'm a big AJ McCarron fan. I'm a Battlehawks guy. I just think that's the safest stack you can always do. So in my St. Louis stacks where I eat up a lot of salary and I don't have much left, I am going to get some pieces of Arlington's receivers and even Houston's receivers. Now, I have been told, I've heard reading through all the coach speak and whatnot, I mean, Houston's a mess. They want to get Nolan Henderson some snaps this week. That's just going to happen. I heard that's going to happen for sure. If Mark Thompson comes back, they are going to funnel everything through him. They said it's a completely different team, a completely different game plan. So that coach is crazy. That whole team is crazy. So there's no trusting in it. But if you look at their receivers, they're very well priced. And last week we saw a guy like Butler break out and Justin Hall. So, I like those receivers. I love Arlington's receivers. Look, as much as I hate on Perez, he's slinging that thing. And guys like Tyler Vaughns, I don't know why, but they're a free square. They're still mispriced.
Yeah, he's 60. He's in the 6K range. I don't know his exact price. It's insane.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Exactly. All right, we're going to move on to the breakdown here. We are going to look at Run the Sims. We've already kind of talked about injuries, so ignore that on the top. Let's get into this breakdown. Let's do it.
Break it down.
All right, so if you guys are interested in signing up with Run the Sims, they have great projections. They have an optimizer. They have some showdown simulations that you could play with. Use code EDGE, and you'll get 10% off. I really trust these guys' projections, and they're usually at the top of the leaderboards. That logo there. Let's move into quarterbacks. Let me switch over. So let's start with quarterbacks. I'm going to sort by salary. AJ McCarron, 10.5K. EJ Perry, 9,800. Jordan Teamu, 9,600. Case Cookis, 9,500. You see a lot of these guys up here right around 9K or above. Adrian Martinez is 9,300. Matt Corral, probably getting the start. Probably going to play most of the game, 8,900. And then you got a bunch of kind of scrubbish type guys that we're not interested in playing. You go all the way to the bottom and you see D-Day Dormandy, 6K. I don't think we need to talk anymore about the fact that we're going to be heavy on him. Just because, look, besides AJ McCarron, there's nobody that I really want to play. Right? Like, Ellie, like, is anybody else jumping out to you? Like, maybe you could sprinkle in some EJ Perry or something, or some Case Cookis as well, because that St. Louis defense isn't, the 85 Bears. They can give up some points. But when it comes to these Birmingham guys, I'm not interested. Luis Perez, I don't know how interested I am in him. This feels like a Dormandy, AJ McCarron, maybe Case Cookis, and sprinkle in the other guys from there sort of situation. Ellie, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is why I'm going to have a shitload of Quentin Dormandy. And he's 6K. I think you're right on. AJ McCarron's probably the next best option from there. And I know we didn't talk about it too much, but like, so some of the total that we see in the Arlington Roughnecks game comes from, these are the two bottom scoring defenses, right? One allows 27 points per game, the other 25 points per game. I understand some of that can be attributed to the strength of schedule they've had so far, but they also suck. So like, I don't like, for large field GPPs, like I don't mind maybe taking some flyers on that. I'm not saying go get a Luis Perez 4-stack against a 2-run back of that game. But if you're gonna have two of the worst defenses in the league playing each other, like, we have seen these guys make throws, and Tyler Vaughn's, he's mispriced. There are some interesting stacks I think you can get to for GPPs, but outside of that, man, like, you still don't need to get crazy. Probably just AJ McCarron and Dormandy.
Yeah, I mean, Scott, that's the sad thing is we all thought that Houston, hey, at least their defense is good. Maybe we could play their defense every week. And they're banged up now, and I don't think we can trust their defense even. So, a little bit of Luis Perez. I know you aren't you're not wearing your Luis Perez t-shirt today. I know you're not the hugest fan of the world, but I think maybe sprinkling in a little bit at 8,600, he's probably going to be forgotten about this week. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Definitely. I mean, for me, like, I'm going to funnel everything through D-Day just solely because you can get the San Antonio mega stacks. You can afford to pick up the high-end receivers from across the league. And then I'm going to have AJ. And then aside from that, I'm literally not touching a single quarterback except for Luis Perez. That's it. And that's really because it's the Island Sunday game. And like I said, the guy can sling it. And I think that could be a shootout. So yeah, that's where I think we're all on the same page with quarterback play.
We've gotten D-Day back, which is exciting. Now we just need Dimebag Darrell, Devin Darrington to get signed by somebody. He's a good running back. I don't know why he's not on a squad right now. All right, so running back, let's sort by salary. CJ Marable is the most expensive guy again. McFarland's not even active. So I'm sure this will update. And I mean, right? He's not active. I've seen that he's inactive. So don't play him. Wes Hills is 8,300. Mateo Durant, 7,800. I feel like, and Darius Victor is probably not going to get a lot of run. He's listed as the backup, and maybe that's because he's banged up. Dude, the running backs have been, a dart throw. Like, I don't know who to play besides Ricky Person Jr. I'm pretty comfortable playing him every week because he's always priced down. Devion Smith is a guy that is always kind of interesting, but how much Letty Brown are they going to, throw in? Cameron Harris did score a touchdown last week, but he's 7,400. I think he should be way cheaper than that. This feels like another one running back type build, but we've seen it in the past where these running backs, they get down close to the goal line, and we get random touchdowns by John Lovett, and we get random touchdowns by these dudes, and it completely screws everything up. So, Scott, what's your strategy here with these running backs? I know that it's probably going to be make your lineups different by playing 2 running backs. I just don't know if I could do it this week, man. I mean, maybe the only thing I would do is another Marable Persons weird, like little mini stack there with the defense or something, but I don't think I'm going that route again. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, look, if Martinez, which we know now is not going to be the quarterback, then I do like Maribel and Person. I mean, both Person dropped his count went down a little bit last week, and that's mostly due to Martinez. So if Martinez is not going to play, Person and Maribel are definitely the way to go. I like Person better than Maribel. I think Person will be the starter in a couple weeks. That's just my opinion. I think he's just a much better player. That's just and but and also Tiamu said, "Hey, I want to run the ball more." So I think that's why they only have the 2 active RBs. They've been talking about Tiamu running the ball more, but against Birmingham, mixing those guys out. St. Louis's backfield cluttered this week. They got all 3 active. I think they're going to sling it anyway. So the honest truth is like, guys like Colburn at 5,500, Swin at 4,500. These are guys I'm looking at because to me, it's like, oh, and Lovett, especially Lovett. So Lovett, Colburn, and Swin, that's my sweet spot. Even Letty Brown, Lovett, Colbert, Swin. Let's get some of those guys in our lineups and let's stack some high-end receivers this week.
I agree with you, man. I think you should, especially with a guy like Swin and Colbert getting more involved, John Lovett, Bryson Aline even sprinkle in. I think getting to these cheaper guys, Ricky Person Jr., obviously, if Mark Thompson is active, maybe I might be a little bit more interested in him. I don't even know what his price is. Is he on the slate? Like, he should be on the slate. I'm assuming he is.
Yeah, he's on the slate.
But, I think it's a good point, man. Going cheap this week at running back might be the way to go. Let's go to wide receivers here. So, Jontre Kirkland is 10K. This guy feels like week in, week out. He's probably the guy that you could feel comfortable playing almost every week. Now, this week, he's got a new quarterback, Dormady, that maybe people aren't trusting as much. I still think, with this A.J. Smith offense, I still think he's a guy that will get heavily involved, and I don't think you need to overthink it. Right, as of right now, I mean, he's 38% projected ownership. That doesn't surprise me. Hakeem Butler last week finally came on. They completely shut Aitman down. They obviously game planned him out of it. And I feel like this is going to be a theme. Is it going to be Butler or is it going to be an Aitman week? Which guy is going to go nuclear? I don't know. Flip a coin. At this point, I think the leverage that we were getting last week with Hakeem Butler potentially being low owned, I think that's going to level out. Same with Aitman. I think these guys will just be 15, maybe 20% owned every week, sort of a situation. Same with probably Darius Shepard, because Darius Shepard, even though he doesn't necessarily have the ceiling that these other guys do, that Butler and Aitman does, his floor is enormously high. And if you're playing cash or single entry, you probably just want to always play Darius Shepard. But for tournaments, he's 30% owned. You could just pivot to one of these other guys. Like, how are we handling the St. Louis pass catchers now that Jacquor Pearson is in? I think we got to spread ourselves out, right, Scott?
Yeah, it's tricky, man. We all remember the Sea Dragons and Battlehawks situations last year, and it's very similar to the Brahmas and Battlehawks this year. It's with your quarterback, who are you going to stack it with, and are you going to get that right? So, for instance, last year I played a lot of McCarron naked games. Now, that is not the optimal way to play, but I just couldn't get it right. I couldn't pick the right single one. Like, I'm always going to play Butler. So but he's going to burn us sometimes. And so for me, I'm still going to say it. Shepard is the safe play. He had a down game last week. That's going to help his ownership out. So Butler's my favorite, as always. Shepard is a safe play. Aitman would be the sneaky play to say, hey, he has a bounce back week. We see it every week in spring football. Every receiver always has a bounce back week. They don't suck for that long. That's just the way it goes, right? You know what I mean? So
yeah.
So to me, I'm gonna say, look, if you want to get crazy, stack them all. But to me, Butler's my favorite, but Shepard is the safest. I will probably have the highest ownership on Shepard.
An interesting thing would be, because of Dormandy's price, You could pair Dormady, and instead of getting to Kirkland, you could go somewhere else with his stack, and then just put in both Hakeem Butler and Marcel Aitman together, or Hakeem Butler and Darius Shepard as a little two stack there without the quarterback. So who else jumps out to you here? I mean, Deion Kane looks good at 6,900. Burnett, some reason, is still getting priced higher than Tyler Vaughn's. Tyler Vaughn's 6,100. How can you not? I mean, look, I know we're chasing a little bit here, but we talked about, I got to quite a bit of Tyler Vaughn's last week. Is he going to put up 28 fantasy points again? Probably not, but he's 6,100. You don't need 28 fantasy points out of him. Are we going, Ellie? Are we going to back to the Tyler Vaughn's this week again? I think you probably have to at 6,100. It feels like a free square, like Scott was saying earlier.
Yeah, and I mean it's not even the fact that he's just 6,100. It's just this Houston Roughnecks D sucks. Like, it's just not good. So I'm more inclined to think this game shoots out than both defenses to all of a sudden show up when they haven't all year. So 6,100 again with I think he just gives you a lot of flexibility. But go back up. We're looking, god damn it, of course I can't remember his name. San Antonio Brahmas other wide receiver,
Marquez Stevenson.
Cody Latimer, my bad.
Oh yeah.
Look, yeah, Marquez Stevenson, right? But look, I think that these are guys that you're going to want to be able to stack, and because Dormady is so underpriced, like, I think we got to be comfortable maybe leaving a little bit of salary on the table. If you play Dormady, you may be able to comfortably stack him with John Trey Kirkland and some other chalky high-end guys, but he may be comfortable with Latimer and Stevenson or something along those lines. So, like, I still think that because I'm going to have so much exposure, I am going to be rotating in some of these other guys, despite, like, it may force me to leave money on the table.
Look, Latimer and Dormady last year had a connection on Orlando. They clearly were clicking, and them reuniting this year, that was just another reason why I love Dormady in the preseason, and as well as Latimer in my preseason rankings, was I thought these guys were going to pair up really good together. And I think at this point, it's your first start this year. If you're Dormady, and if shit's going to hit the fan in this game, who are you going to look for? Your big body tight end who you're comfortable with. Cody Latimer is that guy. I think he gets a big boost this week. We've seen him up and down. Week one, he didn't look very good. We've seen him look pretty decent the past few weeks. I'm going to go heavy I'm going to go heavy Latimer probably with my stacks. And you're right, leave a little bit of money on the table. Another guy to talk about, this is random. I know that we don't have a ton. We haven't talked a ton about all these wide receivers, but a guy like Katie Cannon, he's active, right? Is he active?
He is active. I was waiting for us to talk about him. He is active.
He's 3K.
Yes.
He's 3K. Him and Dormady had a couple big plays last year. This guy is always the dude every year in spring that's like, that guy is good. He's got upside, and he never does shit except for maybe one or two plays a year. 3K, Dormandy's back. Maybe talk about him. So, Scott, let's briefly, can you just name off a couple of the guys that you're interested in? We can't go through every one of these dudes, but talk about some of these dudes who you're going to be over the field on.
Yeah. Okay. So for me, still the guy, aside from Butler, who I think is the most NFL ready, is Jonathan Adams. I think, again, I keep saying every week he's going to break out. They just need to get him the damn ball. You see, when they do get it in his vicinity, this guy's like fucking Brandon Marshall, dude. He is just a big dude. He can grab it out the air. So I like Jonathan Adams. I like Vinny Papali again, Invincible's kid. I like any Dawood Davis, going back to the well on him again. Again, Cookus has eyes for him. Deion Kane, I like. If Corral is going to be back in, it didn't seem to matter who was throwing him the ball.
Yeah.
Corral or Martinez, Kane shows up. And then I like my sneaky plays. Like I said, that nice little Katie Cannon, Dormady. Let's be real. Dormady's been taking a lot of snaps with him in practice. We know that, right? Because Cannon's at the end of the depth chart, and Dormady is too. So, and we know what they had last year. And the Latimer thing is the obvious choice. So I still like the Tyler Vaughns, the Paytons. I like the the Arlington guys, the Memphis guys, the St. Louis guys, and then pairing up with Dormady. Aside from that, it's Marcus Sims has been nice, and Kiki's back for DC, and I think DC is going to be behind. So I like DC's receivers, but good luck finding the right one. They've been kind of spreading the ball so thin.
Where is
because I want to go rolling again, but Kiki's back, and it's kind of like that puts him in the back seat again.
Yeah, Roland's 4,200. Where is Kiki at? What's his price? Like, why can't I see him?
He should be he's always like 8K, dude.
Yeah,
he's always like 8K.
Kiki
was back on the depth chart. Let's just confirm this.
Yeah, he should be active.
He's listed as out on
7,600.
Yeah, he's listed as out on DraftKings right now.
Got it. I'm not seeing him here.
So that'd be nice if he stays as out, but he is listed on the depth chart. He is not on the inactives. He is listed as the number 1 receiver on the depth chart. So, he could be sneaky if he stays as out as well. But I think one DC receiver and one Arlington receiver will end up in the optimal. But, I want to say the Houston guys. I'm just scared if they bring in Nolan Henderson and it just gets all fucking weird, or Mark Thompson is back getting carries, that the Justin Halls and the Butlers of the world, the Emmanuel Butlers of the world kind of get weeded out there.
So Bradley Moore is out for a few weeks, whatever. I believe he's on IR. So that does open up a little bit for Alex Ellis. We got Caden Smith, who's now active. We know how DC likes to use their tight ends. A guy like Alex Ellis at 2,900 is a last piece if you're trying to fit in sort of a max salary build. Could be an interesting, a guy that you can get you maybe 8 or 9 fantasy points if that works. Besides that, dude, there's a lot of guys. Make sure you guys jump in the Discord. We'll obviously be chatting it up tomorrow and tonight about some of these extra dudes that we're not talking about. Let's get to defense. So Stallions are 5K. Battlehawks are 4,600. The cheapest team here is Renegades at 3,600. Am I an absolute crazy person for being okay with playing Arlington at that price with that defense? Ellie, Scott? Ellie, you're muted.
Yeah, man. So I'm not going to say. You can't hear me?
No, I can hear you now.
Check 1 2.
Yeah, I can hear you,
okay.
bro. I can hear you.
Yeah, no, look, man, I'm not going to knock you ever for playing a min-price defense. To be fair, this would be an opportunity to maybe risk it. Houston is a terrible team, but again, just my rule of thumb: don't lock in any defense, and probably cap at 25%. I'm glad I did, because last week I would have been absolutely fucked. I think I was originally getting 80% of the Houston Roughnecks defense. I would have just lost all my money. So don't lock into one defense. I think you need to balance some stuff out.
I mean, look, I'm pretty sure that the winning lineup still had Houston Roughnecks' defense as their defense. I still cashed in the 3-3-3 with their defense, thankfully. But you're right. At this point in the year, I think it's, the first few weeks we've been able to identify defenses and just go over the field because it's just a better matchup. And it just seems like such an obvious play. I think at this point, if you're, besides the Stallions, it's probably going to be a week by week thing as far as just mix it up and don't get too heavy on one defense, because I feel like any of these defenses could go off. But Scott, I like what you were saying earlier about getting some defensive exposure to the Brahmas and to the Panthers, right? So what are you thinking here?
I mean, I think anybody who's been watching Spring League so far, the damn Stallions look like an NFL team competing against high schoolers out there. I mean, they just look great. So to me, you're going to have the salary. If you're on Team D-Day this week like we are, you're going to have the salary to get the Stallions. But Ellie is correct. Look, I've been locking in defenses all year, and it has just freaking burned me. I have not gotten defenses correct once, not even close. These defenses have not been scoring shit. XFL last year, we had some high-scoring defenses. Yeah. These defenses are trash, dude, as far as DFS goes. So the Stallions have been very consistent. So, of course, they're there. Taking the flyer on the Renegades is great because Houston's a mess. I would avoid St. Louis and Memphis, but the Brahmas Panthers could turn into that defensive game. I mean, let's just be honest. And if you want to get different, I think I think it's going to be there because I think the ownership on the Stallions is going to be so high. At least for the people that play D-Day, they're going to be sitting there with 10K left with the defense to choose. They're going to choose the Stallions. You know what I mean?
100%. All right. Yeah, exactly. All right. Let's get into our lineup build here. So make sure you guys jump into the Discord. Make sure you throw us a like on this video, subscribe. We're doing this every week, obviously. And we're doing a little NASCAR content here on the channel as well. So make sure you guys subscribe and jump in that Discord, man. That's the way to go. We got some good folks in there chatting it up. So let's build a lineup. Let's Scott and Ellie, let's build a lineup for this. Now it's the 2-2-2 this week. Let's just pretend we're building for that. Obviously we're not going to give away our lineups, but let's talk about like the basic structure. I think it's very obvious. Let's scroll all the way down to the bottom here and grab D-Day, plug him in right away. Besides that, where are we going? What do we do now? Do we want to target little mini stacks of this of St. Louis? Do we want to make sure we get to at least one running back from the Stallions along with their defense? Scott, if you're hand building a lineup at this point, we've started with Dormandy. That's obvious. Well, where the hell do we go from here?
I mean, I think it's obvious we go Latimer, in my opinion, just because of that relationship. But if we're talking for running back wise, I would save running back for last. And the only reason I bring that up is because I think we're going to build such a nice lineup that we're going to feel confident in that we can choose any running back we want.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about wide receiver then. So if we're going Latimer, that means we're probably not going Kirkland in this lineup. And that now you probably could if you wanted to, but we don't need to hit the nuts with this lineup. We really don't for this 2-2-2. I didn't have a good lineup at all last week. I still cashed. So at this point, I think we have to choose between our St. Louis guys. Are we going to pick, which St. Louis guy are we going to get? We're going to get Butler. We're going to get Shepard. We're going to get Aitman. I think for this lineup, we probably want to go Shepard, don't you? Either Shepard or Butler. Do you agree with that, guys?
Yeah, I'm leaning Shepard personally.
This is a Shepard situation, right, Scott?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. So now we've got two more flex spots. Do you want to just plug in Stallions defense here?
Sure.
All right, let's plug that in. Let's get our two flex spots here. So guys, I feel like at least one Memphis guy. So we have a little 1v1 stack here. One Memphis wide receiver and probably, I mean, dude, we got to go Tyler Vaughn's here in this lineup, don't we? Right, Scott?
Yeah, I was going to say Tyler Vaughn.
Yeah.
We're gonna have so much salary. Yeah. So because we have this much salary, then I like Adams for the Memphis piece. Now, clearly, if you want my opinion, if you're playing cash, Papali and Dawood Davis will probably just get more receptions just because they're across the middle of the field. Adams is on the outside. Cookies has had a problem. Everybody's guarding Adams. If you just watch this guy play, it's always a jump ball every time. So for me, I would put in Adams because of the upside. I still think he's ready to break a 25-point fantasy game. And again, like I said, that gives us any amount of money we want, and we still have the Stallions defense. And that is a great lineup that I would feel very confident in playing GPP or cash.
Yeah. Sorry, Ellie. I think there's a delay on your end, so it's just a little behind. But this feels like you could do whatever the hell you wanted here. And even leaving like 2 or 3K on the table for a 2-2-2 I think is fine. You don't have to play Marable here. But it would probably be a decent idea to do so and leave $800 on the table. But or you could go, you could go down to Durant. You could go down to. There's just not a whole lot of guys that I'm comfortable with. So I feel like Ricky Person Jr. is probably, is that what you're gonna say, Ellie?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, man. So Maribel or Person Jr., those would be the guys that I would go with. And, I'm glad Scott took over. I don't know what the fuck's going on with my delay over here. Shitty internet. It's fucking weather. But I was going to go Jonathan Adams as well. I mean, we still have the salary to do whatever we want, but we wanted a little bit of mini stack there, and it's just a nice 1v1.
Yeah,
and we can still literally do absolutely anything we want with this lineup.
And everybody in the world would go Marable over Ricky Person here, especially for a 2-2-2 if you're building. But leaving a couple thousand on the table for UFL, it doesn't matter. It really does not matter at all. All right, so let's build the GPP. So let's just start. Let's build our GPP with Quentin Dormady. So we, that lineup that we just built, we left a ton of money on the table. I feel like we got just some low owned type guys. So how do we make this lineup even more GPP-ified? I don't know that we need to, right? Like, I feel like that lineup had a pretty high, it had a high floor and it had a very high ceiling. I don't think we need to get too crazy. And thoughts on Dormady, like how much money we should be leaving on the table for GPPs in this big $20 contest? I think is it 10K to first now? How much money should we be leaving on the table? Like, we should not be maxing out the salary with Dormady at quarterback, right, Scott?
Yeah, I think something important to bring up is the fact that it's a $20 entry fee. So I think you've got to go in with the mindset that it's not going to be a bunch of casuals playing. It's going to be a sharp pool. Let's just be honest about it. A lot of sharps, mostly sharps. Casuals are not going to throw in $20 at a chance to win 10K. You know, if you max this contest out, it's $1,700 for a chance to win 10K.
Yeah.
It's not great. So if you think about it that way, most people will leave salary on the table. Sharps are not going to fill up. A lot of these guys are going to set rules in their optimizer saying, hey, leave at least 3K on the table. So a GPP, for me, it's something I do think about. If this was a $5 contest, or if we're talking about the mini max, where you can still, thankfully, 150 max, that would be good. But for the 20, I just want to say that, with a $20 entry fee, that is not a casuals pool anymore. But this would be something, and I think both you guys could get behind this. This would be something where you could go Dormady, get weird, we could make a smaller pool here. We could go Dormady, Kirkland, Katie Cannon, and then go Butler Shepard. And then basically we're getting the best of St. Louis, and we're getting a little bit weird with Dormady. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and this is a high upside lineup, and we're only messing with 2 games here so far. You know what I mean?
I love that. So you're saying that because the $20, I think this is really smart. Because of the $20 entry fee, we can actually reverse psychology bullshit and actually get closer to maxing out our salary, because we think that everybody else is not going to do that because they think that everybody else is going to.
Yeah, definitely. You know what I mean? And it's not hard to max it out, and it's not hard to leave a lot of money on the table this week. So it's fun.
All right, so I feel like every single time we're going to build with Stallions defense, like I feel like Stallions defense could be 25% owned. Do you think? Like, should we be, if we're playing Dormady, is this a situation where maybe we just try to go out of our way to not every single lineup get Stallions defense because it's too damn easy, right, Ellie?
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, just given the salary that we have, I still think you need to just be flexible and willing to open it up, right? I mean, in that last lineup we built for the cash, if we drop from the Stallions down to, I don't know, maybe the Brahmas, we could easily have gone from potentially Canella to John Trey Kirkland, for example. So I just think that there's a little bit of flexibility that you get from the salary, using the salary down in the defensive side. Dude. And again, like if I'm going to be playing them in cash, a 5K defense in cash, I'm going to probably not play a bunch of that defense in GPP.
Dude, I actually like this. Like Dormady, Kirkland, KD Cannon, and the Brahmas defense as just like an ass whooping. Like nobody's expecting D-Day to come out and annihilate. And this is how you get different. You just stack the defense along with a couple dudes on the offense. Because everybody and their brother is going to play Birmingham. And what if Birmingham just has like 5 fantasy points? And what if the Brahmas they give up some points, but they scoop and score a touchdown? That's all you really need. So at this point we have 9,800. We can do whatever we want. And I think that even going down to a guy like Pledger, or not Pledger, sorry, I'll never play that guy. Persons, or any of these dudes in this mid range and leaving money on the table, or just go Marable. You could do that. You're still leaving a little bit of money on the table, and you have a unique build. Let's build one without Dormady. So this is an AJ McCarron situation, right, Scott?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, again, this is where I'm always going to go week to week. I don't care what the situation is or who they're playing against. This guy is up for the 300. We get a 300-yard bonus on DK. So I think this guy is up for it every single week. So this is the safe play, And now we could get crazy with it and go Luis Perez, but AJ is he's the foundation to me. So this is where I'll be going outside of D-Day.
Let's build with him, because now we have a completely different dynamic with our lineup. We got one cheap ass mofo, and now we got the most expensive mofo. So let's try to build with him and see if that's even possible. So who we pairing with him? Since we're doing GPPs, is this an Otto Shepard situation, or can we do a Butler and Aitman? Or is that just, are the chances that both of those guys have successful games so low that you'd rather mix it up?
I say let's go against. Look, Shepard and Aitman had horrible games last week. Let's go Shepard Aitman. I mean, let's go against, because look, clearly I want to go Butler, but if we know there's a lot of box score watching in spring football. We know these people aren't exactly paying attention to the news feeds or even watching the freaking games. You know what I mean? So if you look at both these guys just last week's score, they didn't look great box score wise. So I'd go Shepard Aitman here, but I wouldn't be against doing Butler.
All right. I love this. I love this start here. We'll do our running back last. So let's take advantage of some of these Memphis guys. Let's get one run back. Let's do like a 4-player game stack here. So is this I don't think that we could afford Jonathan Adams. I mean, we probably could, but maybe for this lineup, maybe we go down. Is this a Mark Wahlberg's son? Is this a Dawood Davis situation at 7K?
If we're gonna do what we did with Shepard and Aitman, Dawood Davis had a horrible box score as well last week. I'd pop in Davis here. Look, it's undeniable talent what's in this lineup right now. We saw it the first couple weeks. It's just all three of these guys had shitty last weeks.
Yeah. And then I think you just, from this point, I think the ownership is going to be fine. Like, I think you can mix in whoever the hell you want. You don't have to worry about their ownership. Like, we could go back to the well with Tyler Vaughn's here. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. I mean, look, again, anybody building a lineup this week, this can be your starting point or your last piece in, but I mean, he should be in the 8K range. You know what I mean? Let's just be honest about it, man.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, like, Perez is the guy. Like, Stoops loves Perez.
Right.
They're getting Lindsey Scott involved because he is a change of pace. And this team hasn't been absolutely terrible. They've just been kind of blah, and they haven't been able to finish. So a guy like Tyler Vaughn's, to me, is very safe. I don't think you have to worry about Luis Perez coming out of the game for entire drives because they're trying to work somebody else in. And if that's the case, if Perez is in, I like all these guys, but especially Tyler Vaughn's. Defense, again, let's try the Renegades here and see what that does for us, since we've got some expensive dudes. Vaughn's and Renegades, that's an interesting little pairing there. But I think you go down to Ricky Person Jr. here, maybe, potentially. What about Devion Smith? I mean, what do you do in this situation where we've got some probably low-owned dudes, or at least maybe 10%-ish and under? Can we max out salary comfortably here if we wanted to go Cameron Harris? I don't think I do want to do that. But, do we need to leave money on, like, a lot of money on the table in a lineup like this?
I mean, I wouldn't in this situation, because look, here's the deal. We got Vaughn's. We want someone from the island game, right? We don't want to be all out of PMR by the time, you know what I mean? By the time we're sitting on Sunday. So Vaughn's Renegades, Letty Brown. Vaughn's Renegades, Letty Brown leaving the salary time. Vaughn's Renegades, Devontae Smith. Like, though that's the way I would go, and I would just be the biggest Renegades fan on Sunday. You know what I mean? And hoping that the Roughnecks, implode like they do every game.
I love it. Ellie, any other thoughts on any other interesting type of builds? Like we've got ourselves D-Day, we got ourselves McCarron here. Oops, that's the wrong freaking button. We didn't build with Perez, but we got a little 3-stack of Arlington without the quarterback here. What'd you learn, Ellie? This feels like, we're getting into week 4. This feels like we're starting to see things come into play, and we're starting to see which teams are really good, which teams are really bad, and which players we could actually trust.
What is that bullshit thing that girls from high school always say? Like, when a person shows you who they are, believe them. I think we're getting to that point in the season, right? When these teams show you who they are, it's time to maybe start believing them a little bit. So, look, we've seen what we needed to from Arlington and Houston. Like, I think that's a game that we can attack for some one-offs here. But overall, like, this isn't a tough slate to build. Like, I think you can get a little creative. Dormandy opened up a lot of stuff for us. This is going to be an interesting one. I think Dormandy is probably going to be in the optimal, and it's going to be a stack that probably doesn't look all that crazy, that somebody ended up winning with,
Scott, what'd you learn, and how many catches will Katie Gannon have this week?
I'm gonna say he has only 2 catches, but he goes for over 50 yards because I think one of them's gonna be a deep ball. I think he's gonna get a stab. No matter what, they're gonna take a stab at throwing him the deep ball. So for me, it's what I learned is it's team D-Day all day. You know what I mean? We're gonna go hard on D-Day. If he fails, we fail, and it is what it is. We'll have another week to go at it, but I'm all on team D-Day.
Let's all remember D-Day on Saturday. It's going to be interesting. I'm excited to see him back. Somebody sign Dimebag Daryl. We will see you guys next week. Jump in the Discord.